Hey everyone, welcome back to Edu Expert, your smart learning hub. The Oreshnik missile is one of Russia's most alarming military advancements, primarily because of its incredible speed. Classified as a hypersonic weapon, Oreshnik can travel at speeds of up to Mach 10, which means more than 12,000 kilometers per hour. To put that into perspective, it is nearly 10 times the speed of sound, and several times faster than most existing ballistic missiles in the world. This level of velocity does not simply make it faster, it makes it extremely difficult, if not impossible, for current missile defense systems to intercept. A missile traveling at Mach 10 creates an intense plasma shield around itself due to air friction, reaching temperatures of over 4,000 degrees Celsius. This shield blinds most radars and confuses anti-missile systems, giving Oreshnik an almost ghost-like quality in the sky. Military experts explain that if Oreshnik were launched from Moscow, it could reach the capitals of Europe in just a few minutes, giving enemy defenses no time to react. In a potential conflict, this speed factor alone makes it a game-changer, because traditional systems like NATO's Patriot or America's THAAD are not designed to counter such ultra-fast weapons. For the US audience, the most concerning part is that this speed allows Russia to send a clear political message: we can strike before you can even think of a response. This ability transforms Oreshnik from just another missile into a symbol of psychological dominance and deterrence. Its supersonic speed is not only about reaching the target faster, it's about reshaping the very idea of modern warfare. One of the most terrifying aspects of the Oreshnik missile is its warhead capacity. Unlike traditional ballistic missiles that carry a single payload, Oreshnik is equipped with MIRVs, multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles. This means that a single missile can carry up to 6 separate warheads, and each of those warheads can strike a different target. Imagine one missile splitting into 6 deadly strikes. This is what makes Oreshnik a nightmare for military planners. These warheads can be conventional, designed to destroy strategic infrastructure, or nuclear, capable of causing catastrophic damage. For NATO and the United States, this is deeply alarming, because intercepting even one hypersonic missile is already nearly impossible. Intercepting 6 warheads launched simultaneously at different targets is virtually unthinkable with today's Experts explain that this MIRV capability drastically increases the missile's destructive power without increasing its size. It is like a single bullet turning into 6 in midair, each finding its own victim. The psychological effect is equally powerful. Adversaries know that even if they manage to defend against one warhead, several others will still get through. Oreshnik's deadly warhead system is designed to overwhelm defenses and guarantee destruction, no matter how advanced the opposition might be. For the US audience, the terrifying thought is that a single Oreshnik missile could strike multiple cities or bases at once, leaving no chance to respond in time. This capability alone elevates Oreshnik from being just another hypersonic missile to a weapon of strategic intimidation. Another defining feature of the Oreshnik missile is its massive strike range, which places entire continents within its reach. The missile has an operational range of 3,000 to 5,500 kilometers, making it an intermediate-range ballistic missile. This means it can strike targets across most of Europe in a matter of minutes and even threaten parts of the United States, particularly Alaska and potentially some western coastal regions. From a strategic standpoint, this range creates a new layer of fear for NATO allies, because it puts every major European capital, including Berlin, Paris, London, and Warsaw, well within striking distance. For the United States, even though Washington, D.C., and New York may be out of range, the fact that American bases in Europe are directly exposed makes Oreshnik a major threat. In addition, the possibility of forward deployment in Belarus dramatically shortens the distance to NATO borders, meaning targets in Europe could be hit even faster. This strike range changes the balance of power by allowing Russia to project force far beyond its own borders, giving it the ability to threaten multiple nations simultaneously. The Oreshnik's range also serves as a political weapon, sending a clear message that Russia can bypass traditional defense systems and hold critical infrastructure hostage across entire regions. For the US audience, this range means that allies overseas are at constant risk, and American forces stationed abroad are within immediate danger zones. In the world of modern warfare, where distance often equals safety, Oreshnik erases that safety buffer completely. It extends Russia's reach and makes global stability more fragile, ensuring that this missile is not just a weapon, but a tool of intimidation across continents. The Oreshnik missile is not just a machine of destruction, it is a psychological weapon designed to instill fear and uncertainty. Its first combat use on November 21, 2024, during a strike on Ukraine's Dnipro region, was as much about sending a political message as it was about destroying a target. By deploying its newest hypersonic technology, Russia demonstrated that it possesses a weapon the West has no guaranteed defense against. The shock value of Oreshnik lies in the speed of its attack and the unpredictability of its trajectory. For citizens and governments alike, the idea that a missile could reach its destination in mere minutes with little to no chance of interception creates a deep sense of vulnerability. In military strategy, this kind of fear is often more powerful than the weapon itself. A missile like Oreshnik forces leaders to think twice before engaging in direct conflict with Russia, because the cost of miscalculation could be catastrophic. Western analysts argue that Russia's use of Oreshnik was less about battlefield necessity and more about psychological intimidation, to prove that Russia can escalate at will and that NATO is not prepared for hypersonic warfare. For the United States, the psychological impact is equally significant. Even if American cities are not directly within its current range, the knowledge that U.S. military bases and allies are vulnerable creates pressure on policymakers and stirs unease among the public. This fear factor makes Oreshnik more than a missile, it is a strategic tool to alter perceptions, shake confidence, and project dominance. In modern warfare, where information and perception are as important as firepower, Oreshnik has already proven to be a powerful weapon of psychological warfare. One of the boldest claims Russia makes about the Oreshnik missile is that it is nearly impossible to stop. Traditional ballistic missiles follow predictable arcs, allowing missile defense systems like the American THAAD or NATO's Patriot batteries to calculate their path and attempt interception. Oreshnik changes that game entirely. Traveling at Mach 10, it generates a plasma shield around itself, caused by the extreme heat of atmospheric friction, over 4,000 degrees Celsius. This plasma layer absorbs and distorts radar signals, making it almost invisible during flight. On top of that, Oreshnik is designed to maneuver in unpredictable zigzag patterns rather than follow a fixed trajectory. This means even if enemy radars detect it, they cannot accurately predict where it will go next. Western analysts admit that current defense technology is not built to handle hypersonic threats of this kind. Imagine trying to catch a bullet with another bullet. Now imagine that bullet moving 10 times faster than sound, glowing like fire, and suddenly changing direction midair. That is the challenge Oreshnik poses. Russia calls it a ghost missile, because by the time defense systems react, it is already too late. For the United States, the concern is not only the inability to intercept but also the fact that Oreshnik carries multiple warheads, MIRVs. Even if one were somehow stopped, the remaining warheads would still reach their targets. The phrase, "impossible to stop," is not just propaganda, it reflects a genuine gap in modern defense systems. Until the US and NATO develop reliable hypersonic interceptors, Oreshnik will remain a symbol of untouchable power, reminding the world that some weapons are designed not just to destroy, but to bypass all defenses. The Oreshnik missile is not just a prototype or an experimental weapon, it is now moving into mass production and deployment, which is what makes it truly dangerous. Russia officially confirmed in mid-2025 that Oreshnik has entered serial production, with dozens of units expected to be operational within the next few years. Unlike one-time experimental launches, mass production means this missile will become a regular part of Russia's strategic arsenal, available for use at multiple locations. Even more concerning for NATO and the United States is Russia's plan to deploy Oreshnik missiles in Belarus by the end of 2025. This forward deployment places the missiles directly on NATO's doorstep, cutting down flight times to European capitals from minutes to seconds. From Belarus, cities like Warsaw, Berlin, and even London are within extremely short striking distance. Military experts warn that this deployment strategy is not only about defense, it's about intimidation. By placing Oreshnik outside its own territory, Russia signals its willingness to escalate tensions and challenge NATO on its own borders. Production facilities in Russia are reportedly working at high capacity despite sanctions, showing that Moscow is prioritizing hypersonic missile development above many other military programs. For the United States, this move represents a dangerous shift. Oreshnik is no longer just a theoretical or propaganda weapon, but a real and growing presence in the global security landscape. Deployment in Belarus also complicates NATO's defense strategy, forcing member nations to consider responses to a weapon that may strike faster than any countermeasure can be launched. The combination of mass production and forward deployment ensures that Oreshnik is not just a missile of the future, it is a weapon of the present, reshaping the balance of power in Europe and beyond. The rise of the Oreshnik missile has triggered what many experts now call the new global arms race. For decades, the United States and Russia were locked in nuclear competition, but the arrival of hypersonic weapons like Oreshnik has opened a completely new battlefield. The United States is still testing its own hypersonic systems, but none have reached the operational level that Russia now claims with Oreshnik. This has created a strategic imbalance. One side has a deployable, combat-ready system, while the other is still in the experimental stage. Such an imbalance pressures NATO and the US to accelerate their own hypersonic programs, pouring billions into research and development to avoid being left behind. China, too, has entered the race, with its own hypersonic projects, meaning the competition is no longer just between Washington and Moscow but a three-way struggle. The danger is that as more countries scramble to catch up, the world risks an era similar to the Cold War, only faster, deadlier, and far less predictable. Hypersonic missiles reduce reaction time to seconds, leaving almost no room for diplomacy or negotiation once a launch is detected. This lack of reaction time could easily lead to accidental escalation or miscalculation, sparking conflicts no one intended. For the United States audience, the critical message is clear. The Oreshnik is not just Russia's problem, it is a global security challenge. Its existence forces every major power to rethink military strategy, invest in costly new defenses, and prepare for a future where war moves at hypersonic speed. In short, Oreshnik is not simply a weapon, it is the spark that may ignite the largest arms race of the 21st century.